Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We have a special guest in the building, Dr. Bahiyyah Muhammad. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you
Peace,
doing?
Queen. How are you?
I'm good. Peace. I am well. Excited to be here.
Now listen, he's gonna hate on you already.
I am not
Okay.
going to hate on you. I am not.
Wait.
What?
Tell me a little bit more. Why?
I'm not going to hate on you.
Okay.
Look at the
You
signage.
see the sign right there? You don't see the sign? You don't see the sign? I'm not going to hate on you. You're my sister. You represent, a nice school, you know what I mean? But I'm just, I'm not.
I love all HBCUs. It's all really, really good. I am so excited to see that. I love it. I love it all.
What the hell did I do? I don't know.
I said, wait a minute. Let me get right. Okay.
Well, tell him who you are. What's your title and everything?
Dr. Bahiyyah Muhammad. I'm an associate professor at Howard University in the Department of Sociology and Criminology, College of Arts and Sciences. I've been there for about 8 years. I absolutely love it. It's the first experience teaching at a HBCU. So you already know, loving on the students, Black excellence. I mean, it just doesn't get any better.
I agree with you.
And you're the founding, I've never even heard of something like this, but you're the founding director for Howard University's Higher Education and Prison Programming?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
what is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Taking students into facilities. I teach criminal justice. So for me, I think you need to really get close to it in order to really understand. So I teach the classes inside of the prison. Half of the students are incarcerated. The other half are matriculated at the university. And we read the same things and really try to identify ways that we can love on those in our families that are incarcerated, but also to support around social justice initiatives. What does criminal legal reform really mean, and what actually can you do if you're not intimate with the system? If you've never entered a facility, how have you mastered it, even if you pay for the degree? So really trying to get students to understand you have to be a whole lot more focused than just the books, and you have to be intimate with the experience. And if you don't start in your own family, you may get it wrong out there trying to do the right things.
That's real. That's like an eloquent way of like Alonzo in Training Day when he gave Hoyt the drugs, and he was like, a good narcotic detective must know and appreciate narcotics.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
How important are HBCUs to our community? For people that don't know, I like I said, I got my degree from Hampton, but for people that don't, there's a lot of people that feel like HBCUs are not on the same level of some of these other universities. So break down how important that is.
HBCUs are the community. When I think about D.C., Howard University is Chocolate City, right? Like as we think about gentrification and we think about the different ways in which communities are configured, HBCUs are those campuses where you getting it hot off the press. Like this is not that type of, research instructors that are, coming in and asking any sort of question in order to check a box. Like you have individuals that strategically can write these different questions in ways that get at the heart of what's going on. And these are your instructors, and they look like you, deans with braids and locks and, students from across the African diaspora. So many individuals feel that Blackness is just one thing, and it is so dynamic. It is so rich. And at the HBCU, you get to see that. I mean, I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old daughter, and they, frequent the campus all the time. And the way their hearts poke out just by seeing all of the great, great instructors, students, even the staff, right? Like, I never even knew that there was a place like an HBCU where you could really just get loved on in your mind, in your soul, in your heart. If I have students that come to me and say, look, I can't do that assignment. My brother was shot last week. Like, I don't need the evidence. I don't need to ask any more questions. Baby, take your time. When you're ready to write, we'll get back to it. Very different than what you see at predominantly white institutions. I think there's a space for both, but to have that HBCU experience is something that connects individuals in ways that is untangible. You can't touch it. It's something you feel.
What do you think about the college curriculum, though? I think they need to change a lot.
Ooh.
And the reason I say that is, I tell everybody this story. I wanted my daughter to go to Hampton. I went to Hampton. I wanted her to go to Hampton. We did the run. The run is, Morgan, Howard, Virginia Union, Hampton.
Oh, wow.
We go North Carolina. Then we go Atlanta, Spelman, Clark. And all. We did that run.
Wow.
Right? But the problem was she's into real estate.
Oh.
And a lot of these schools didn't have real estate as majors. They had classes, but not a majors where they teach them about developmental and building from ground up and what they need to look at.
Right.
And there was no HBCUs that had that as a major. And I was like, these are the things that I feel like we should be teaching our own about real estate, about more stocks and bonds, about tech. Why don't you think we change the curriculum and to kind of, I don't want to say catch up, but to be, I don't want to say more relevant, but more powerful as a school?
I think it's changing, right? Like when I think of the business school at Howard University and individuals every Wednesday suited up, booted up, being prepared, right? And then also, when you think about the process for tenure, being on the tenure track, oftentimes that doesn't give everybody the opportunity to be free the way you want, right? We talk about academic freedom, but like, even for me, I was taking chances when I was like, I'm going to take students into prison and teach them. That could have cost me my tenure because what you talk about is innovation.
Now, for people that don't know what tenure is, just tell them what tenure means. Break that down for teachers.
All right. So the tenure process is similar to what you find in the K through 12, where it gives you a job for the rest of your life. Ultimately, it's like $1 million investment, and you are watched by those individuals who are the seniors and the movers and the shakers on that particular campus who have achieved that feat. You have to publish, you have to do professional development, you have to bring in grants, you have to do service. Your teaching has to be stellar. And if you are able to identify that within the 6 years of the assessment, you good as gold. You have a job basically for the rest of your life.
Wow.
I'm so interested in the HEP program. Like, did Howard give you any pushback when you presented the idea to have students live inside of the prison?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let me tell you, I wanted to go to Howard specifically because when I looked at the landscape of what was going on, there weren't a lot of Black and brown folks going in where Black and brown folks are incarcerated. So for me, it was just like, Dag, how do we get to the point where we begin to engage in real talk conversations? The brother always comes home, the uncle comes home, we go to the cookouts, we all chilling, we all excited, but we never sit down and break bread in terms of what's going on. My research is on children of incarcerated parents. So for me, I started there at Howard, and I really connected it to my data and expertise and said, after 10 years of research, the children of incarcerated parents have questions. And these are the questions, and I feel like we can create the next generation of social ambassadors by having them see what's going on so that they can really come up with solutions. And you shouldn't have to be incarcerated in order to see that side. You should be able to see it in this way. The university embraced it. At the time, our current president was the provost. Wow. And so it was dope when he just crossed over. I said, alhamdulillah. I was just excited, at that feat. I knew that there were going to be legal ramifications. I knew that there were going to be issues. But for me, going down to D.C. from Jersey, New York area was like, I got to do this at a HBCU. And so I went to Howard specifically for this.
And you had them, you don't just take them to the prison. They live in the prison? Did I read that right?
Sleep in the prison every day?
The students,
for 7 days?
Yes, 7 days, course curriculum. They lived in the facility for 7 days.
Other inmates?
With other, the facility was running regular. This facility was where Martha Stewart was incarcerated. They call it Cupcake Prison. So let's contextualize, right?
Okay,
like, let's contextualize beautiful mountains,
It wasn't Rikers.
Not Rikers, right? They're not letting you go into the city. But for me, what I wanted the students to see is that the prison industrial complex does not live everywhere. And so when you think about white collar criminals, you could go and sleep at their facility. You could have a sleepover. You know what I mean? Like, that's a different concept. And the students, they gave me pushback. They like, Doc, we try to go to the hood,
Okay.
And I was just we know that. We know that. Let's see some things that we don't know. Let's see where they have a firefighter program, right? Where if there are not enough individuals in the community to put out a fire, the individuals that are incarcerated get suited and booted and they go out and they do the work of the community. But when you talk about individuals that are Black and brown and disenfranchised, you stuck in your cell. You're not making that sort of thing. There may not even be programming. So it really opened the eyes for the students, and I wanted them to see the climax between the data. I had them reading for 15 weeks about the curriculums and what was going on. And when they went, it was the opposite. The data says that these children are nothing. They're going to amount to the mistake that their parents made. And they saw phenomenal youth, beautiful, young, invigorated individuals that was like, yo, I'm going to HBCU. Like, I'm about to get a PhD. I didn't know there were majors where I could talk about my own mother and my life experience. So for me, I think it was able to wake the students up for them to see. We stayed 7 days. We went in and out of the facility. The best part for me was where the incarcerated women had an opportunity to sleep next to their babies for the first time. So I created it where the Howard students, ASB, alternative spring break, it's a HBCU thing, they got to decorate the visiting hall. And they got to see what it was like for parents to parent during prison. That doesn't happen, right? Like call, mail, and visits, but we all know that ain't parenting, right? So like it really woke the students up. And that was really my first chance at radical pedagogy of just pushing the envelope. Like, let me see how far I could, take it. And then I really wanted to see what was going to happen with the students. And now 7 years later, they're in phenomenal positions. Like they are movers and shakers. It has changed their lives in ways that that was a dream come true.
So what were you hoping that they learned from?
I wanted them to learn that we are all human and that I don't care if you pay $40,000, $100,000 for a degree. You're not an expert in an experience that you haven't touched and felt.
That's a fact.
Right.
That's a fact. Now, I know that you chose to implement State of Emergency, Tamika Mallory's book, as as required reading for your social justice course. Why that book?
When I think about the movement now, when I think about all of the students, there was a cry for an answer. And a lot of the students, were looking at historical pieces, looking at a movement in retrospect. State of emergency is now. It's happening now. Like it's real. It's contemporary. It's right. It's a contemporary social justice movement. And I also wanted them to understand that knowledge is everywhere. And you don't have to have an acronym behind your name in order to be respected and understood. And State of Emergency did that. I wanted to have a book in the class that I teach in the community. So you have formerly incarcerated, currently incarcerated, detained youth, senior citizens, veterans, a variety of individuals taking the class. I wanted to have something that could bring us all together. And that book, it did that.
That's Tamika Mallory's book, if y'all don't know. Do you think State of Emergency should be required for like all social justice curriculum?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? The conversation was live. The students, first of all, we started off just talking about the beginning. The conversation, Cardi B, Angela Davis, you gotta stop. I just got excited because where would you see that? When would you? And the good thing about it was, the students was holding that in the entire time. That would have never been a conversation that I could have ever had in my class, even if I played a clip of music, right? How would I have ever merged those two? That intersectionality would have never happened. So to start with that was wonderful. And I think a lot of the students started to think wow, you can be beautiful and on the front lines. You could be super dope and dressed in these sort of ways. One of my students said, when I got into the movement, I thought that I had to leave my ghetto behind. And once she read the book, she said she learned that you bring all that you have because the people need everything and they need to see all type of people. So there was strategy in the book. I think a lot of the students also talked about love and commitment. So I could see this in a sociology and criminology. I could see it in the humanistic social sciences. I could see it in an art and activism, class. I could see it across the band because it gives individuals a starting space, and the language that's used is just real. It's raw, it's real, and the way you're able to dig in, it almost reads like it almost reads like a soundtrack.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, that blows my mind because that's more important than any list or anything. The fact that State of Emergency is a part of a curriculum
that is
at an HBCU. You know what I mean? That's what books are about to me. Now you're doing Social Justice Week, Howard University Social Justice Week, August 2nd through the 6th. What is that?
We're launching it. Oh, man, we are working on a huge initiative.
August 2nd to 6th?
August 2nd to the 6th, a full week of bringing HBCUs across the nation, communities of individuals together to talk about strategies and the injustices in the system. And so we have, a lineup day one where we're going to be talking about police and perceptions. We're going to go into corrections and mass incarceration. We are going to move into the injustices as it relates to homicides and, death by incarceration. We're going to hear from mothers of the movement. We have a son of Howard, HBCU grad, the mayor, Raz Baraka, coming to bless us about refunding the people. Like, what does that look like? So we have all of these heavy hitters. Of course, the Queen, Tamika Mallory, talking about the book, Until Freedom. So we have a huge just lineup of individuals that are, being able to say, Howard University is here, right? Like, we're not playing. And we want everybody, right? Like, we want all HBCUs. We want all students. We want all hands on deck. We have to look at this seriously. We are in a state of emergency. Like, that's facts.
How can people get more information on it?
Website, www.howard.edu /social justice consortium. Also on Instagram, Dr. Muhammad _experience. I'm posting all week. I have everything just kind of lined up. It's going to be a lot. They could Google it and say Howard University Social Justice Week. It'll pop up. Registration is live now. It is free. We want everyone. There's no maximum. You don't have to be anybody. You can be whomever, right, interested or not in the movement, and sign up and come and participate.
I got two more questions because, I am looking at Howard and I'm like, man, Howard is really doing some things. They got you, but, Nicole Hannah-Jones is at Howard now. Ta-Nehisi Coates is at Howard now. Like, what does that mean?
Man, it means everything. It means that individuals are recognizing the importance of pouring into our young people. It means that as a Black community, we understand that we have to bring our assets to bear, raw, unpersonal, like just open. It means that we're moving on up. It means that individuals are recognizing and they are seeing that we're here to stay. We've, come a long way as it relates to being able to stand our own ground. We've been doing this work specifically at Howard 150 plus years. And I think now individuals, athletes, celebrities, all kinds of individuals are like, look, this is what I'm going to invest in. This is where I'm going to go. I feel like it means that we're connected. It means that individuals are stepping off of their platforms and stepping down like, look, let's eat together. We all family. We all melanated in this world. We all go through those same experiences together. And I think now we've gotten to the point where we're ready to hold on to each other and really create solutions, real solutions.
I always said that. I said if we had a couple of, not to take it from what you were saying, but a couple of athletes that instead of going to some of these white schools, go to a HBCU. It would sort of trend and set a trend would make TV people air these games, which would make players want to go to these schools. I just think you just need a couple of players, great players to go to, and I think it would just change the whole narrative of everything.
Absolutely, and it's happening. That's happening. These are conversations that are happening. Individuals are thinking like, I kind of want to go, what that's going to be like, So I hope individuals are watching and seeing like, the HBCU, if you a celebrity or not, like that's a place for you. Like you could call it home. Like we gonna love on you. We're gonna educate you. We gonna challenge you. You could walk there whenever you want. You can feel protected and safe. You're not like it's not like that, right? And so I think as more individuals get an understanding of that, it's gonna take off. It already is.
Yeah, that's why I think Nicole Hannah-Jones, like her going where she's celebrated as opposed to being tolerated. That's a shift that we don't even understand the ramifications of yet.
Yeah, and that was a protest in and of itself. I think like you start to see the ripple effects. Everybody's posting, and everybody's coming out the closet with it like, yo, I was abused in this sort of way. I don't feel like I'm appreciated. And it's like, yes, sis, yes, it takes that one. It takes that one.
What are your thoughts on Howard's recent change to the Board of Trustees?
When I think about the Board of Trustees, I attended that meeting for that session, and I feel like I like the fact that individuals can present specifically as it relates to what they feel, right? Like I feel like if I have an issue and I could bump into a board of trustee, like you actually gonna be on the campus, I like that. Like I want a board of trustee to come into the facility, right? Like I want individuals to be able to be touchable and to have access. That's the way that I kind of envision it and see it as an opportunity for individuals to have this voice, more so than an individual that represents the voice of the people. I got to see how it works, though. Like, just to be honest, there's a lot of feedback as it relates to what it is. A lot of my students have reached out. Alumni have reached out. and they have feelings, about it. And for me, I think, let me see it. Like, I'm the type of person, like, let me see. Everything sounds good until we start doing it. So let's do it. Let's see what it looks like. If we need to fix it and identify kinks in it, update it in any sort of way, let's, roll it out and get busy together.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we appreciate you for joining us, and thank you so much.
Tell them where to find you.
Where to find me? drmuhammadexperience.com, Twitter, Dr. B. Muhammad1, and then Instagram, Dr. Muhammad_experience. That's where it really is.
Well, Dr. Muhammad, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Make sure y'all check out Howard University Social Justice Week, August 2nd through the 6th.
Yes.
Right? And then a couple of months, then a couple of weeks later, then you could go to homecoming. But
right. Do that first. This is the prerequisite to homecoming. Thank you for that.
All right. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.